The Regional Pokédex. What is it? Well, simply put, from starting a new Pokemon game, getting violently deported to a new region, and eventually bankrupting the champion, the Regional Dex will be the collective list of marketable critters available for use. Now, in the last 28 years, we've been gifted 16 separate variations of the Regional Pokédex. In this time, however, we've been steadily witnessing a change in philosophy as to how these Regional Dexes are comprised, a switch in the way that they're constructed. One that started around a decade ago, and honestly, I mean, I don't know, it's probably like not that bad, but also I kinda wish it wasn't like this, so So yes, a change in regional dexes, and the unintended consequences that come with that. But hey, I've also come up with a super simple solution for this, so like, subscribe, and stick around to the end, and maybe if you do, I'll personally mail you some asbestos. Cool. Alright, let's hit it. Regional dexes. What's going on? Why? Well, to actually find out my problem here, we have to very quickly understand what purpose a regional dex is actually supposed to serve. Regional dexes are the list of Pokemon available in any particular region. Here you go, this is what you get. Fuck you. These dexes typically consist of around 200 to 300 goofballs, a good portion of which should ideally be native to the region itself. This is to highlight the new selection of Pokemon and to make each region feel distinct and its own thing. Also ideally, this selection of Pokemon should be balanced so that every elemental type has its fair share of representation. But also ideally, this selection is varied enough so you're never out of options if Emerald Watson pulls up to your place of residency with a blunt force weapon. In short, a regional Pokédex should highlight the new Pokemon, shouldn't be too stingy with options, and pretty much do the opposite of whatever the hell's going on here. Fantastic. Okay, well then, if ideally that is what a Pokemon Regional Dex should accomplish, why exactly do I have a problem with the last 10 years of installments? Because in theory, these new Dexes should be doing everything I want, right? They've got new Pokemon, all the elemental types are fairly represented, there's so many options, they're really large, they're so large, they're really large. Well, that would be what I've not so tactfully been building towards here. The problem I have with modern regional Pokédexes, they're just too large. Yes, on the surface, a large regional Pokédex seems positively ballin'. It gives you large team options, gives you ample replayability. Unfortunately, what I don't often think is talked about is that, in my opinion, the larger Pokemon regional dexes become the less unique each region's roster, and subsequently each region itself feels like it becomes. New regions, say, excluding Alola, they just don't feel like their own unique habitat of local critters anymore, and I think this is in large part due to the fact that Pokemon regions, they have been getting statistically less and less local over time. Over to you, Graph Man. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you some goddamn graphs, okay? Look at this shit. Alright. Oh, hold on. Yes, so you know what I said about Pokédexes feeling less distinct? We've got the Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald Hoenn Pokédex. Out of 202 Pokemon, 135 of them, or 66.6% I think it was, were of Hoenn descent. You go to Diamond and Pearl and you go to the Platinum Pokédex, that is a high majority. Go to Unova, once again, that's over half, and then you go to Kalos and it's like, whoa, what the hell? Only 15.75% of the Kalos Pokédex are actually from Kalos. And then you go down to Alola and it's like, oh, what the hell? Why are there more Kanto Pokemon than there are Alola Pokemon? This is crazy. Then you go down to Galar and it's like, why the hell have the Yanks invaded? There are more American Unova Pokemon than Pokemon from Galar, Britain. Thanks, Graph Man. Yeah, I needed to end that segment, I don't care. Now, in saying all this, I'm absolutely not advocating for 150 new Pokemon every single generation. I just feel like we've lost something here. With older, smaller Pokédexes, I can very distinctly remember which Pokemon were where, where each game had its electric type Pokemon hanging out, which hot climates you could find the fire types vibing, where each game had its rare dragon pseudo-legendary hiding. But with larger regional dexes, any grass root could randomly have all number of unknowable entities lurking, regardless if thematically they fit or not, and it ends up just leaving newer regions feeling like collections of areas rather than interjoined climates. But honestly, the solution to this is actually dead simple. All you gotta do is axe 75 to 100 Pokemon off the roster, you're done, problem solved, go home, corned beef for dinner. The parents are waiting, where are you? And the best part about this is, if you really think about how the average person plays Pokemon, this will practically never impact the enjoyment of these games. Now, in any new region, I think it's fair to say that outside of that one friend I have that religiously uses Nidoking, Poliwrath, and Arcanine, you know exactly who you are, I think it's fair to say that most players that play Pokemon games are going to do two things. They're A, mostly going to be using the new Pokemon they know nothing about, because honestly, that's half the fun, and B, they're typically not going to be playing the full game more than, say max 2 to 3 times. So with the average player never seriously using more than say, 30 Pokemon per individual installment, you really lose nothing from taking a little bit off the top of these games' rosters. But what about the trainers being less varied? Well, these games don't have any issue with Pokemon trainer variety. But what about variety for Nuzlocke and challenge runs? Same goes for these as well. But what if I want to use weaker Pokemon? Well then use weaker Pokemon then. I'm proposing slimming down these dexes, not fucking evaporating anything under a base 500 stat total. Point being, I really just don't think there's quite a need for Pokemon's regional dexes to be quite as girthy as they've been getting recently. I mean, it's not really a massive deal, but in saying that, it wouldn't require a massive solution either. I just think these games would be better with smaller Pokédexes. Very cool. Very cool. Anyways, the end of the video. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave your comments down in the comments section below, because that boosts engagement, and the more views this video gets, the more I can imagine an entire school gymnasium of people all sitting in a very small room watching my video on a big screen. And that visual is really entertaining to me. Cool.